I, Dr. Hemant Deshmukh from RCRT Chandrapur, along with my colleagues, Professor Charanjit Dadiala and Professor Sachin Davas, welcome you to this 3-day online Tech Week 3 faculty development program on a very, very important science, that is nuclear science and technology for nation building. We just cannot undermine the importance of nuclear science and technology. It has played a key role in the nation development, but at the same time, many engineers are really not aware of what is the potential hidden in the nuclear science and technology that can be used for the nation building. I feel privileged and honored. At the same time, I thank the professors who have chosen us as the association institute for the conduct of this program, 3-day program, especially Dr. N.S. Zadhav. For some reason, he's occupied with another FDP, and hence he could not remain present for this online inaugural program. I heartily welcome Dr. Ajay V. Deshmukh, one of the very illustrious technical person from this area. Then we also have the person who is responsible for managing the whole show for the 3 days, none other than Dr. R.K. Singh. I'm very thankful to him for taking pains and measures to see that this materializes. We are also fortunate to have Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, the person who has an illustrious career in the domain of IT, and he's the keynote speaker. He's the chief guest for this inaugural function. We have also a guest such as Dr. A.V. Deshmukh and Professor and Mr. Shri R.K. Singh for this function. As we are a little bit late, very sorry for that, but the participants will continue to join. But let us start with the function. In the beginning, I request the dignitaries, especially Dr. Ajay B. Deshmukh, to inaugurate this FDP by e-lamp lighting. Deshmukh sir, please.
Thank you. I hope ma'am has done that electronically able to see that. Sir, Chinese, let me know how, because inaugural is done and lamp lighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Deshmukh sir.
So,
thank you very much.
It declares the function of inaugurated.
Yeah.
Welcome all the dignitaries, especially Dr. Deepak come to today's vast experience in IT. Is well-known personalities in the field of IT. Is a lot of experience, and we are really delighted to have him here during this inauguration and keynote speaker. After this, I have a little bit to say about R.K. Singh, sir. In fact, he is a very dynamic person. IT in Hawaii, and he has conducted several outreach programs about the nation, and for some of the programs to it was very good. Active 6,000 people participate in Surat, perhaps Yavatmal and in Baramati. We had joint programs, and over a period of 2 decades, we are conducting nuclear science and technology programs either to Hawaii Center or Indian Nuclear Society. And we are really delighted to mention that to leadership in nuclear science and technology. We really delighted the participants, and we could reach up to a very common man at rural areas also. And today it is really good opportunity that participants with us along with his team from different domains and from DRC and allied institutes, research institutes in India, and he is going to maybe present some session today also. And we are really happy that such eminent personalities, scientists, and technologists are with us. I'm really thankful to Veerendra Singh sir, Raman sir, principal of this college, Rajiv Gandhi College of Engineering, Research and Technology, Chandrapur, and special thanks to the organizers that they are able to conduct this program from Chandrapur. And thanks to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University and thank you for support which we got for this program. Thank you, sir. I hand over.
Deshmukh sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir. Answer.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ajay V. Deshmukh sir, for your inaugural remarks. Thank you so much for being with us. We also have a person who is quite instrumental in spreading the message that nuclear science can be used for peaceful means and it can do wonders in the lives of the people. And we are fortunate to have Shri R.K. Singh, who is presently the head media relations and public awareness with BARC, Bhabha Atomic Research Center. So I request R.K. Singh sir to address the participants as far as this inaugural program is concerned. Please, sir.
Chief guest of today's function, Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, Professor H.S. Deshmukh, Professor N.S. Jadhav, Principal Professor Khan, Charanjit Singh, Professor Sachin Divas, Professor Ajay Deshmukh, Director Bhaskaracharya Pratishthan, and all faculty members of university. Friends, I am very happy and delighted to be participating in this program, a 3 days faculty development program on nuclear science and technology for nation building, sponsored by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, Lonare, in association with Sardar Patel Memorial Trust, Rajiv Gandhi College of Engineering, Research and Technology, Chandrapur. Friends, I thank the organizers for organizing this wonderful event in this pandemic time, and I also congratulate them for taking up this area to be addressed in their faculty development program. Friends, I am so delighted to be with all of you. India is on the journey to becoming a technology and knowledge power. And you all people from academia are entering an army of experts for nation building. Friends, for such a journey to achieve the becoming a technology and knowledge power, we must have a good collaboration, interactions with academia and industry experts, and especially their government departments like Department of Atomic Energy, ISRO, DRDO, CSIR, and many more, those who are contributing in this journey. This pandemic has given us the opportunity India to become a pharmacy power. Many people have to contribute in this area. We need more industry-oriented collaborations. You know, the pharmacy industry is of data, and the institutions, colleges, they must collaborate with them for artificial intelligence so that they can achieve an optimum output. You know, we are producing cheapest drugs in the world. More than 60% vaccines are produced in our country, and we are biggest player in global generic drug medicines. and we have to adopt the new technologies for data mining and for optimizing our production. Friends, nuclear science and technology is contributing in a very big way for our national development in the areas of green and clean electricity production, in our agriculture sector by producing higher yield crop varieties, and in the area of medical field, we are developing technology, radiopharmacy for treatment of cancer, diagnosis of diseases, and many more. We are working in the area of clean and affordable drinking water. We have produced a lot of technologies for drinking water. We are also working in the area of helping industry for quality assurance and troubleshooting. We also have a biggest collaboration with academia for funding them through our BRNS scheme for training, joining in organizing this, registering for PhD, utilizing our laboratories for their research, and also through our university HBNI, we are providing opportunities people to do PhD, and largest number of students, they come for their projects, internship in our system. Friends, we are working in a very big way for contributing in nation building through our technologies, through our Electronics Corporation of India Limited for defense. We are the manufacturers of all communication systems for our army. We also produce technology for our ISRO missions, like our all missions, they communicate to the ground by our technology, deep space antenna, which are utilized for Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan missions. We also work in the area of material sciences, nanosciences, all kinds of physics, all kinds of chemistry, nuclear waste management, reprocessing technologies, radiopharmacy, isotope applications. You name the science and technology, we are working in cyber security. So friends, here I also request, if you have any kind of faculty development programs, you can contact me. For all the people who are listening, or those who are come through you, you can also communicate to them. Any kinds of science and technology they name, we are working in civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, robotics, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, whatever you can think of, in the medical area, radioisotopes, radiology, working in molecular imaging, all kinds of advanced technology we are working in. I invite you all to kindly remember us. If you have any such kind of program, we will be very happy to contribute in this area. Friends, in this program, actually nuclear science and technology is a very vast area, but due to shortage of time in this thing, we have requested only 3 scientists. Dr. Sunita Sonmane, she will be informing you people through her presentations about nuclear medicines and advanced area. And Dr. Sumit Gupta will be telling you about food preservation. And Mr. Amritesh Srivastav, he is from Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. He will be informing about our nuclear power program. Friends, we are having 22 nuclear reactors operating in the country. Nuclear reactor is a very complex, system where we have to deliver 100% performance. Every system, every individual have to deliver 100%. We are having world record continuous operation. Our Kaiga atomic power station was continuously operated for 962 days, a world record, and such record can be achieved only when everyone is perfect. And 34 times we have operated our nuclear reactors continuously for more than 2 years. Friends, in this pandemic, all industrial production was stopped, but nuclear reactors, they continuously operated, and they have delivered electricity, which is very, very much essential. So science and technology will be the next growth engines, and I'm very happy that the chief guest, Dr. Shikarpur, he is having a totally different kind of personality, a different kind of person. We must learn from him, and he can be a very big role model for our students or faculty to achieve which people think which cannot be achieved, and we can deliver to make this nation an advanced nation in the area of science and technology, which can be only achieved through collaborations, and academia and students, if they are participating in a big way in smaller projects, in bigger projects, they can deliver, they can create a miracle on this country. Friends, I welcome you all again, and I am very happy, and we continuously we can deliver such programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri R.K. Singh sir, for your wonderful overview of the nuclear science and technology domain. We thank you from the heart that you spared time, especially Dr. Ajay V. Deshmukh sir and Shri R.K. Singh sir, to be present in the inaugural function and also address the participants. This could have been only possible with the initiative taken by Dr. N.S. Jadhav he is a coordinator, and he has taken initiative from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, Lonere, and the accent given by our principal, Dr. Z. Khan, and my colleagues, Professor Charanjit Dadiala and Professor Sachin Dhavas. We are going to have wonderful sessions starting today evening. We'll be having sessions in the evening because the faculty or the employees from the BARC would be busy with their work. I'm so thankful to Shri R.K. Singh sir for arranging the resource persons. He himself is going to talk about the two areas, that is nothing but nuclear technology for sustainable development, and also he's going to highlight us about the career opportunities available in the nuclear science and technology. Dr. Sunita Sonone will be talking about the nuclear medicine and how it can do wonders for the patients who are suffering from the cancer and such kind of diseases. She's also going to discuss about the cancer treatment as such, as to how the radiation techniques can be used to treat the cancer patients. Then Dr. Sumit Gupta will be highlighting about the radiation processing in food sector, and Shri Amitesh Srivastav would be highlighting about the nuclear power situation in India. As we are aware, still we have under 3% nuclear power generation in this country, which is the cleanest and green kind of energy that can be utilized by mankind. With this, I hand over the proceedings to Professor Charanjit Dadiala so that we can hear the keynote address by Dr. Shikarpur. He is available today for us, and I thank him also. I thank all the dignitaries and the participants for taking interest. I request them to be present in all the sessions so that we all are benefited, and then we raise our awareness level as far as nuclear science and technology is concerned. Thank you so much. Handed over to Charanjit Dadiala, please.
Thank you, Dr. Hemant Deshmukh sir. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed chief guest for today's function and keynote speaker, Dr. Deepak Shikarpur. Sir is an IT engineer with global repute. Sir has obtained doctorate PhD degree in IT information technology. Sir was working in the Tata Group for 16 years and then became a technopreneur. His profession spans over directorship with several global IT companies and academic institutions. He is an honorable fellow of Maharashtra Academy of Science, Computer Society of India, and Institution of Engineers. He is member executive of Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Industries, and Agriculture. He has so far authored 41 books on IT in Marathi and English. He has won several awards for his literary work from governmental and non-governmental bodies. Global India Business Forum had recognized him with Excellence Award on Engineers Day on 15 September 2020. He has also been awarded with Service Above Self, the highest award for 2017-18 given by Rotary International Board of Directors. He has also initiated a free online platform for senior IT professionals. It is really an honor for us to have such an eminent personality like you, sir, as our chief guest and keynote speaker. You really have a commendable work of body over the years, and we are really looking forward to listening to you, sir. And on that note, I would humbly request Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, sir, to proceed further with his keynote. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning. It would have been a pleasure for me to come to Chandrapur because I have come to Chandrapur many years back. I have a friend there. His name is Mulkulwar. He works in BARC now in Mumbai. So maybe you can, and he is a power person. But he was my engineering colleague. I hope you know him because he is also from Chandrapur. Sanjay Mulkulwar. You try to meet him. He will be very useful to you. Now I'm just trying to trying to share my screen. Somehow this PPT screen is not coming, so I don't know how to get this.
Sir, just press F5 after opening your PPT. And then, sir, click on present now.
So let me search. There is no F5 key on my keypad.
Okay, sir. Just start your presentation. Full screen presentation, sir.
So has it come?
No, sir. The full screen presentation is opened on your laptop only. Now you have to click on present now. The bottom right corner, sir. You can see present now. There is a button.
So that I'm not getting. Nothing is happening there. See that present now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now I don't know whether you are able to see the PPT.
We are able to see your PPT, sir.
Okay.
We are able to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So today I'm going to talk about a different topic. It's digital future. So let me begin the talk with a humor. You all should read your horoscope in 2019, especially Diwali Ank or wherever magazines. And whosoever told you that 2020 was your best year or will be best year, I think time has come to visit this person. Thanks to lockdown, it's almost 1 year because 23rd March this problem started and we had national lockdown. But in 1 year, our life has dramatically changed. I don't want to talk about COVID and what impact it has made because every day on WhatsApp you get at least 10 gigabytes of information, and some of you can even do PhD on this. But it has made definite changes the way we work. I am in my home, you are at your home or wherever, and we have become virtual now. And this was a very difficult thing to convince people. But thanks to COVID, forcibly we are convinced that yes, virtual interaction can happen. Besides virtualization, many other things people have changed. They have defined entertainment differently. Reading is not necessarily books, but we can browsing or audiobooks. Mainly since all of you are from academic background, I will focus more on academics, e-learning, e-examination, and virtual education. has really become possible, which was considered impossible until few years back. Remember your vacations. 2019 you were in plane and now you're stuck to washing machine. So this is another real view. People have redefined homes also. And I have seen advertisements in Pune, I don't know about Chandrapur, where builders have started converting clubhouses, part of clubhouses into cubicles. They are providing office room in home. So one portion of home will be converted to office and you will have privacy. So this is basically a big change which has come in our lifestyle. But having look at the changes, positively many things are happening. If you are talking from recruitment perspective, then these 10 are hot areas where a lot of jobs are present. And again, I will not read each and every element. You must be aware of it. And I'm sure you will be orienting your students to get entry into these domains. Since I am from IT background and I am an IT professional, let me tell you that in IT industry, there are many sectors where a lot of jobs exist. But at the same time, there is another problem. If you don't have relevant skills, then you are shown the door also. So this is happening at simultaneously. On one side, thousands of professionals are losing jobs and professions. And at the same time, many thousands of professionals are required. You must have read in newspaper yesterday, Tata Consultancy Services in last 6 months have given 2 pay hikes because they need a lot of people. Capgemini in next 6 months is recruiting 30,000 people. Please understand, 30,000, it's a big number. So, Achhe Din probably are definitely there for some people. But I hope that all these students which are coming under your academic institutions are taking advantage of this. And I appeal Batu to conduct special programs, skill programs in these domains. Because now, one more thing we have learned, that compartmentalization of education should not be done. Who thought 1 year back, Anand Mahindra manufacturing ventilators in the engineering faculty? Because medical devices is a very big industry. In our country, I am told more than 5,000 new hospitals or healthcare facilities are coming up in next 1 or 2 years. And today, 70% medical devices are imported. So this is a challenge to engineering industry. How can we bring it to zero? And this is where Atmanirbhar Bharat for healthcare engineering should be a great opportunity for all of us. And this is one area where focus should be given. If you look at overall business perspective, this slide I learned in Harvard Business School when 25 years back I had gone for a small program. And Michael Porter, who is still considered a management thinker, had presented this. And these are competitive forces in any industry, and this is applicable to every industry, including academics. So you have a threat of new entrants. You are at the same time, there is a threat of substitute because your technology can finish you. And your partners, customers and suppliers are constantly bargaining with you. Supplier wants price increase and customer wants price reduction. So against this backdrop, running a business is not easy. It is a big challenge. This was our office till 21 years back. And those of you who have worked in 90s can believe that even that black colored push button telephone is now gone. And we are using smartphones. So only in some special places, some of these elements may be present. But all the time, we want to be world class because we have only 2 options. Either you are world class or third class. So if you want to become world class, then you need to define what is world class. And this is what I have tried to define. It involves customer satisfaction, performance measures, right people for the right roles, highest quality at lowest prices. This is one area we must understand. Customer is not willing to pay premium for superior quality. And this is where you have to give high quality at lowest price. And let me come to my main point of today's presentation. You must exploit information and other technologies for whatever process you are undertaking for your business. And this is where trends in IT, on each of these I can speak for hours, but Let me speak very briefly. First trend is convergence. Till 10 years back, we had multiple devices in our lives. We had personal computer, telephone, camera, music, which is iPod or Walkman driven, wristwatch, television, all were separate devices. Some exist even today, but technically your smartphone can do everything. And smartphone is becoming smarter and smarter. Today also technology exists to create a projection in the smartphone. So you don't require LCD projector also. Very soon you will see, end of PC era. What 20 years back happened to Walkman will happen to personal computing, laptops, desktops in next decade. And smart devices will be our interaction mechanism. With these smart devices, keyboard and mouse also will not exist. So I have an assignment for you. If possible today, take picture of all digital devices you are using today, like laptop, desktop, projector, and preserve it for 10-15 years. Maybe you have to tell your grandchildren, हमारे ज़माने में हम ये सब use करते थे, because that generation will not be able to understand what you are talking. All this digital revolution will be possible only with foundation of internet. And this is one area of concern to me right now, because our country is talking about 4G, 5G, but basic pure bandwidth is still not available in many parts of India. And there are many issues here. There is a call drop problem. We have telecom regulatory TRAI problem. Many towers are required, but we have an area of concern. Unless solid internet is given to all users at affordable prices, we will not be able to create digital India properly. And this is one area where we must learn from Norway. Norway in 2016 declared internet as a human right. So every Norwegian citizen is obliged to get pure internet bandwidth from government. And this is one area where we have to think. If you look at digital future in this decade, there are many technologies which are going to create impact. And I have shared some of them. I will again not read each and everything. But many technologies are going to create huge impact in our lives. We have digital cash, we have wearable computing, we have facial recognition, we have biometric using retina, then virtual reality using hologram, then automatic speech recognition. So various things are going to create impact on our life. Nicholas Negroponte, another thinker, had said, in another 4 years, we will have smart nails, self-cleaning shirts, driverless cars, intelligent doorknobs. I have seen this intelligent doorknob technology, which works through your fingerprints. So any user of home has to scan his fingerprints and preserve in this knob. Any other person trying to open the knob will get alarm. There will be alarm in nearest police station, your neighbor, your society gate, and thief can be probably caught. So this is a new technology which can be used by smart devices. We will have computers not only as a part of our accessory, but even part of our body. I predict in 20-30 plus decade, chips will be inserted in our body for various purposes, biological purposes, tracking purposes, or everything. Today, chips in our body are potato chips, but they will be replaced with silicon chips. You may have this kind of model of smartphone where you don't have phone in your hand, but phone embedded in your palm. So ICT is the backbone of all this digital revolution, which is going to create various different types of lifestyle. And this digital virtual lifestyle, which we have now got accustomed to, is purely service focused. Customer is impatient today. People don't have waiting time. They want everything ready and immediately available. Same is true for placements. Industry wants ready, skilled people, and they have no time to train them. So this is a big challenge to academic institutions. Our mobile phones are now so large in numbers, where India has now outplaced China and USA for number of smartphones present in the country. And this is one area we should be proud of. But what are we using it for? Available knowledge is doubling every 11 hours. In 11 hours, WhatsApp University gives you so much knowledge, which earlier you had to go to various libraries and get them. But area of concern is that knowledge real? Is it true? How many of us believe? And if you blindly believe everything what comes on WhatsApp, then you will be confused because there will be multiple types of information given to you. Then comes another very interesting technology, which I consider extremely powerful technology, and this is Internet of Things. We know social media connecting people, but Internet of Things connects devices. So imagine a situation where devices which generate data also become smart devices and start taking decisions. Just for example, we all know there is a fuel gauge in our vehicle. The role of fuel gauge till 2021 is to only tell you information how much fuel exists. Now imagine if you have a smart car, and if the fuel gauge is smart, it will auto decide when filling should happen. Imagine a situation if you are having less fuel and if you are going to nearest petrol pump, car will automatically drive itself to nearest petrol pump. And this is where driverless car technology along with smart devices may create wonders in our lives. Wearable internet is a very big promise, and people will be able to work on smart clothes which will start generating data, and gesture recognition coupled with smart clothes can be interaction mechanism in future. Another interesting technology is 3D printing, which people talk about 4D, and there are talks going on in medical industry where 3D printers will be used to manufacture human organs. And if that happens, then our human topology will change. Consider yourself like a vehicle where spare parts are available in the market, and you go to Amazon and order a liver, or go to Amazon and order kidney. This is possible provided we are able to make this technology real. It is ultimate. You don't know whether whole human being can be cloned using 4D printers, and then you will not be able to realize who is real and who is virtual. All this also creating impact on security and hence tracking, and everything is now RFID tracked. Other interesting technology which Stephen Hawking popularized. We lost him 3 years back. Stephen Hawking was an inspirational and motivational scientist. There is a unique thing about him. Right from 1988, he had many health problems. In 1998, he became wheelchair-ridden. In 2002, he went to comatose stage. Any ordinary human being will lose zest of life and wait for ultimate death call, but not Stephen Hawking. He talked to people. Siemens, IBM, and Motorola gave him technology which allowed him to interact with people. And he used thought-controlled computing for last 15 years of his life. And if Stephen Hawking, who was wheelchair-ridden, could file 20 patents, could write 5 books, could interact and give lectures, even he came to India in 2012, then why not ordinary human beings? And this is where I find technology creating big promise for Divyanga persons. So if you have any special need for whatever reasons, then thought-controlled computing is an area of promise. But all these things, do they have everything positive? The answer is no. There are many things to be scared of. What if computers become more intelligent than humans? Today, there are many other things are happening. Artificial intelligence with automation of data is creating havoc, and some part of it is really beneficial. But if they start doing auto decision making, then all these things, we may not like it. Drone technology is another interesting thing, and I appeal you to invest your electronics team into creating drone, because the area which you are operating from, Chandrapur, it is near tribal areas where delivery is very, very difficult. And this is one social enterprise which your students can make, because interacting with people and delivering goods in many remote areas in India is not possible, where people don't go. And this is one area where technology can help you. And definitely we should consider these things. Smart vehicles are coming, green vehicles, Our Gadkari Saab always talks about batteries. He and Prakash Zavadekar are pushing people to shift from petrol to green vehicles. I am on the board of Kinetic Group, which has made green vehicles since 2010. And this revolution is coming up. You can't stop it. And I think like banks, colleges, petrol pumps will not exist after 2030. And you will have to have a different mindset with different framework. Self-driving vehicles is a need of the hour in remote areas. And one more thing we must understand, maximum deaths occur in our country not because of COVID, not because of cancer, but accidents on highway, which 95% of them are due to human error. This is one area where driverless cars have better safety record than humans. Then IoT with auto insurance is growing in a very big way. Insurance premium will be calculated based on your driving pattern. And if you are using a smart car, insurance company knows quality of driving and they will decide premium automatically. If you are a rash driver, your premium will be high. If you are a very safe and controlled driver, where your probability of accident is low, then your premium will be definitely high. A rash driver will continuously file for insurance claims, and hence insurance company will be able to define who is good for them. Vehicle infrastructure communication. Parking is a big pain in big cities. I don't know about Chandrapur, but in the city where I live in Pune, parking is a big problem. If my driver doesn't come, I rarely have motivation to drive because I don't know where I will get parking. And this is one area where technology can come to your rescue. Basically, my dear friends, what is digital lifestyle? Internet is shifting power from manufacturer or seller to consumer who is very, very informed. But you must understand rules of internet business. Internet is a different game, and this is where management scientists have to rewrite books because marketing is now replaced with digital marketing. Various other things have also changed. Who thought personal information has value? People will pay you in future for using their product, and product will be free. But all these things, please understand, competition will make choice a human right. And Mukesh Ambani had said in Reliance board meeting 5 years back, data is tomorrow's oil. And he thinks Reliance Jio will be bigger than Reliance Industries in next decade. Suppliers have a big problem in net-driven economy. And what we must understand, building trust and building brand can be done online. You don't have to meet people or meet them in physical world to create trust. This can be possible for virtual interaction also. Life is going to change and it is already changing. You will have more conversations with bots than your spouse. Many things are changing with AI and analytics. Probably, I feel AI and analytics can predict next epidemics, but unfortunately, COVID was a big shocker because neither astrologers nor scientists could predict in 2019 what is ahead of them. So I hope this is one area where investments will happen and we will be able to create better technologies. Transformation is not only happening in technology, but it is happening in business also. Who thought Uber will be bigger than London Underground in 2015? But growth of Uber or birth of Uber is also an interesting story. Two engineers were stranded in Paris in 2013. And at 2 o'clock midnight, I don't know from where they came out, but they wanted transportation. In India, if you stand anywhere at 2 o'clock, you will be welcomed by barking dogs. But it was Paris, so they could wait. The car stopped and the driver asked, what are you doing here at 2 a.m. and can I drop you? Then they said, we want to go to XYZ hotel. The driver said, oh, how lucky, I am also going in the same area. And he dropped them in the hotel. But before he dropped, he said, I have given you service, so please give me 100 euros. After this, the driver slept, but these two engineers did not sleep. All night they were thinking, if we can connect people who need transport with people who have transport, then we have a business model to come. And this is how Uber was born. And today Uber has created havoc and it has become economical driver. And Uberization of economy is now there in everything. Look at education. Baiju is more popular in schools than physical teacher. And if you are aware of Khan Academy, then Khan Academy is creating history in higher education. And Salman Khan, not our actor, but American Salman Khan, has created excellent content for many subjects. And this is where virtual education, we also have our Swayam portal, which our government has developed. But I appeal teachers to post their content and build their content factory. So I look at teachers as tomorrow's entrepreneurs, where like Anand Mahindra builds Mahindra cars, you will be building content. And both of you are engineers because you are creating content. Or your product is your content and you must be able to market it properly. This is one area where with money becoming digital, all these ideas are feasible now. Before I talk about knowledge, we must understand raw data, which we get on WhatsApp or smartphone, is not knowledge. You require a lot of filtering and a lot of processing to convert it into wisdom. And this is where technological tools in analytics are getting developed. Let me come to the main point, which is education. Education in this decade is going to be driver of growth of knowledge management. But I think our content delivery model has to dramatically change. I predict in Oxford Dictionary, word education will be replaced with edutainment in next decade. It should be able to serve the customer who is a learner constantly and on demand. I have a concept here. Okay, online examination, certification is fine. But I request you to introduce this concept of expiry date. And I appeal Batu to make it happen in technical university. Because if knowledge is getting developed, then consider degree as a medicine with expiry date. And after like your passport or your driving license, learner should come back to the original native place to revalidate the certification. And every 5 years, your degree should expire. This is how relationship with your learner is a lifelong relationship. Today's 3 year to 4 year, depending on your course relationship, is not going to work. You will have to create lifelong model and re-engineer your education. So this is what I think. Whatever is on the left is left, and whatever is on the right is future right. So you have marks replaced with credit point. You have assessment orientation for certification and valuation, and not examination. In fact, I personally feel the day examination disappears from our higher education, it will be the greatest day for quality improvement in our education process. Because many students come to admission only for passing exam. And then there is no knowledge, there is no skill, there is no evaluation. And such knowledge is evaporated. So like water evaporates, knowledge also evaporates. And hence we create Sanjay Singhania kind of mindset. Sanjay Singhania in Ghajini was having short-term memory loss. We have unfortunately inherited this disease in our academic system, where students pick up books 15 days before exam, they start mugging, then they write something in the paper. If their luck is right, they get rank also. But how much they retain? And this retention of knowledge is a big problem. This is where I appeal you, reduce your syllabus, because with great hope, we try to teach students everything under the sun. But ultimately, how much students grasp? And this is where our focus should be to teach less and practice more. If more and more practical assignments with industry partnership, more internships with skills are given, then students will become employable. Because their concerns are very simple. Students take admission in higher education not for quest for knowledge, but they want career, they want jobs. And this is the only goal. And we have to understand this and orient ourselves. This is one area where aptitude testing becomes important, because I do a lot of career counseling, and many learners and professionals come to me and they confess they entered in the wrong course and that did not help them. So this is where course correction can be done. E-learning is a tool, very powerful tool, but it has to be coupled with human intelligence. And this is where teacher of tomorrow has a big role to play. Because in the ecosystem, learner is there, but teacher has a different role. The current role of teacher to teach 80 to 100 students in one classroom is a draconian dinosaur role. It is virtually impossible to relate to all of them because they come from diverse backgrounds, diverse academic background, diverse social backgrounds, diverse objectives. And how will you teach this person? So the only possibility is you have to think yourself like Zubin Mehta and conduct an orchestra of education. Bring many elements, bring mentors from industry, bring facilitators, bring alumni, bring all these partners together and conduct this orchestra. Look at knowledge differently. Yes, knowledge exists in books, but there are many other tools available now. And this is where work experience is the best source of knowledge. And I appeal you to create a stronger industry interaction to create better work experience. And understand this, tomorrow's professional should be global in aspiration. I appeal you to teach them English and Japanese. English is important because it is a language of business. And Japan is a strategic partner of India. At the moment, there are more than 2 lakh jobs open in Japan where they require Indians and they have identified Indians as strategic partner. If Batu teaches Japanese language to all engineering students, you are going to create history. If you want employability pill, COVID pill is not available, but employability pill is learn Japanese language. It requires 2,000 hours. Then every domain there are huge jobs. And I'm sure you will be able to create definitely an employable graduate out of this. This is our challenge. Boys there in some rural area, his parents don't have money to buy him clothes, but they have to buy him laptop because he wants to learn. Who knows? He may become CEO of Google after 30 years. But our job is to equip this learner with skills and technology and knowledge. So my dear friends, if you have time, take note of this and test it in your bedroom. And when you wake up, before going to bathroom, read this. What Darwin said about human species is applicable to our professional lives. Unless we adapt to the environment, which is changing very fast, we will not be able to survive. I have written many books in Marathi, mainly because I consider that knowledge must be shared in local language. And if you are interested, you can connect with me later. I can share my content with you. My passion today is counseling. And besides my professional activities, I spend a lot of time on online and offline counseling. Many people come from all over the world, learners, freshers, entrepreneurs, people who are stuck in their jobs, people who have taken break in job, people who want to retire early, and I have tried to help all of them. I thank Dr. Deshmukh and Batu, and I hope I will be able to come to Chandrapur one day and meet all of you in flesh and blood. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So finally, we are at a vote of thanks. So I thank today's chief guest, Dr. Deepak Shikarpur, Mr. R.K. Singh, Dr. Ajay Deshmukh for this wonderful session. So today's topic was nuclear science and technology for nation building, and I hope all the participants and the students have got good knowledge on these topics and they will implement in their career. So finally, again, I'm thanking you all. And today's evening session is from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So all participants are requested to join the evening session. Thank you.
So hereby we mark the end of inaugural function followed by the keynote speech, and we are awaiting all the participants to join us at the evening session of 5 to 7. Thank you all. Thank you, R.K. Singh sir. Thank you, Deepak sir. Thank you.